7 o'clock.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We're looking at a future of driverless cars and flying vehicles in this, the Morning Watch. And our guests are Master Ruben Gale. He's the president of the Campion College Auto Club. He's in first form, and he's a car enthusiast. And he is here with his mother, Mrs. Karen MacDonald Gale. We also have as our guest Mr. Tyrone Edwards, information technology specialist, and we are very happy to have both of them as guests. Now, Master Gale, before the break, you indicated to us, among other things, that the driverless car, for example, is more convenient or will be more convenient to a member of the public, for example. What will be the increase or the improved convenience, sir?
Can you repeat your question, please?
In other words, what you indicated before the break that a driverless car, for example, is more convenient. How would it be more convenient?
Oh, it would be more convenient for many reasons, including the fact that the car is driving itself. You don't have to be controlling the car in most circumstances. So instead of driving the car, you can be writing a letter to your boss or in most email, or just you can be doing more work in a day with time which would normally be spent just driving the car.
Very interesting. However, a quick question for you, sir, before we bring back Mr. Edwards into the discussion. Suppose two driverless cars are unfortunately about to meet up in an auto collision. Does the person sitting in the vehicle, although the vehicle is driving itself, does the person sitting in the vehicle have a role to control that vehicle to prevent the collision, or is it that there's nothing that the person in the vehicle can do to stop the collision?
Well, firstly, if it were to be two driverless cars, it would be very unlikely for there to be a collision, because the idea is that they're supposed to be able to communicate to each other and see each other's actions. But if it were to happen, that's why the human should still be in the car and be able to correct the person, the car. So I think it would still be the fault of the human, because they're still in the car and they're still supposed to be controlling what happens that is out of the reaction range of the driverless car.
I see. And the person who is in the driverless car, would they be behind the wheel, or would they be in, for example, in the front passenger seat? Exactly where would that person in the vehicle be situated?
Well, the problem is on some cars, like there was a BMW concept car that was self-driving. What happened was its wheel actually folded into the dashboard, so that might hinder the possibility for a human to react to an impending accident. But if it was a car like that, where the steering wheel wasn't in immediate reach to the person, or the steering wheel was hidden away by the company's design, I would say it's more the company's fault for not providing a good emergency like reaction for the human.
I see. But back to the other question I was asking, in other words, when you're in a driverless car, say you're the only one in that driverless car, are you behind the place where that steering wheel may be, whether it's hidden or not, or out of view or not, or not accessible? Or would you be in another section of the vehicle? Or can you say?
I think if you were to be in the only person in the car, then you should be in one of the driver's seat, whether or not it has a steering wheel.
You should be in the driver's seat.
Yes.
Even though it's a driverless. Okay, understand.
Yes.
All right. And well,
it should still be a driver's seat.
Well, I think we know what Mr. Gale means. Well, I was the one who put that word to him. In other words, you're in the
No,
seat which is currently under
I understand.
construction.
Yes,
Mr. Edwards,
um,
any comment?
yes, yes. Sorry, seems to be some delay earlier. Uh,
Yes, yes. We
in terms
apologize
of
for that thing, sir, and to our listeners.
as Ruben has been sharing, because I was able to hear the conversation, but you weren't able to hear me. Driverless cars have many sensors that allow the vehicle to travel a lot, travel to the destination that it is programmed to go to. There have been incidents where persons are on the highway and you see owners of some of the Tesla vehicles that have a semi-autonomous mode for driving, where the owner of the vehicle is actually asleep and the car is driving itself. So currently, vehicles are able to detect the the lines in the road, and as a safety measure, if the car is drifting and is going towards those lines to cross the line, then there are warnings that will be activated, or the vehicle may brake automatically. So there are many considerations made in terms of trying to make the vehicle as safe as possible. Though
Guys,
it's not 100% um, foolproof, if a collision is about to take place, the vehicles can respond by automatically braking so that in order to avoid that collision. And there has to be a manual override that actually allows the operator of the vehicle to take over in the event that the vehicle seems to not be operating the way that it should.
well, I want to raise this with you as well in terms of manual override, Mr. Edwards. For example, programming the vehicle to go to a particular location suggests that before you even get in the vehicle, you program it to say, okay, I'm going to a particular supermarket or a particular office or a particular place, wherever that is. However, suppose while you're on the way, you need to make a detour because you just need to go somewhere else suddenly. What happens there, Mr. Edwards and then Mr. Master Gill?
So as with any technology that would allow you to enter the details for your route, you will be able to adjust the route. Currently, vehicles that have GPS systems and they have the feature of capturing your commonly traveled routes, so you can program those routes automatically. And for a driverless vehicle, where you have already programmed some of the routes, you may even just say, "Take me to Megamart," and it knows from the routes that you have programmed already how to get to Megamart, and it can integrate with services that similar to Google Maps that will show what traffic conditions are like, so that it can improve the route that it takes to get you to Megamart.
I see. But now I'm glad you mentioned route because for the flying vehicles, on the other hand, how do you navigate that route? Master Gill, in terms of flying vehicles, would they be sort of just flying over trees, over hills, and it's going from one place to another, or do they fly on a particular route similar to a road but above the level of the road? Practically speaking, how would a flying vehicle operate in that regard?
Well, fly. I think the idea for flying vehicles is they're better for long distances. And then when you reach a major city, it has like a small landing pad for the flying vehicles, and then they navigate their way through the city. But then for the long distance in between the two cities, I think that it would be like an organized, like invisible road that they'd have to go on to
Right.
go through to the different cities and towns and everywhere.
Master Gail, I want to ask you this quickly. Do you see where, for example, in a transition from cars as we know them now to flying vehicles, for example, or driverless vehicles, do you foresee a situation where you have vehicles as we know them now being driven on the road normally, whilst at the same time we have these driverless vehicles on the same roads and at the same time have some flying vehicles? Do you foresee such a future where they're all together, or do you see no vehicles as we currently know them now at all being completely replaced by the driverless cars and the flying vehicles? In other words, can they all coexist, or do you think it's either just one set of vehicles versus the other?
Well, the driverless cars and the normal non-driverless cars they're already on the roads together. Um there are Teslas, which are almost fully driverless, and a lot of other car companies with almost fully autonomous driving. And those cars are already on the road driving as we speak. But
Yeah.
then flying cars, they I'll probably see them. I'll probably see them like intersecting across roads and highways soon, while we are still driving normal cars. And while we are still driving normal cars, I think I will be seeing flying cars going overhead and landing at airports and things like that. So I think I think they will coexist at some point, and then the normal driver cars will just kind of disappear, just like slowly go away.
I see. We literally have seconds left. Mr. Edwards, our roads in Jamaica are not ready for driverless cars and for situation where you would have flying vehicles. We're not ready for that yet, sir.
Well, the technology that the cars use allow them to also detect potholes, which is one of our major concerns. But additionally, the fact that it also uses road markings to assist, that is where I believe we have a challenge, because all our roads, the markings are not maintained in a timely fashion. So that would be a challenge. In terms of the flying vehicles, I know that it would bring more work for the aviation industry, because all flights have to be logged. So just like students learning to fly, they have to log their flights that they're going to take. The aviation industry would have to now put in regulations to manage these many journeys or trips that are going to be made using these flying vehicles.
And we have to leave it there this morning. Very interesting conversation. More anon. Thanks, Master Ruben Gale, and thank you, Mr. Edwards, for being with us in this main watch. Remember that our feedback question is, what are your thoughts on transgender people competing in sports? Stay with us on Morning Watch.
JN Bank's live online banking is your quick and easy banking that's safe and secure. Sign up today. Visit jnbank.com. JN Bank will help you find a way. The time is
7:32.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
I just want to sleep, but it's cold won't let me.
When cold symptoms rob you of your sleep, switch back to a good night with Painol. Painol, the cost-effective cough and cold reliever that helps you get a good night's sleep. Switch back with Painol, cough and cold from Lascom Pharmaceuticals.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. We looked at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are seeing and doing, and we have here latest news in the Jamaica Observer Online. Government strengthening environmental management policies, that being said by the Prime Minister, and also work continues on shelters for abused women, that being said by Minister Grange. We now turn to the Gleaner Online. Among the latest news, teen among 2 killed in Hanover, 2 others injured. Another bit of latest news here in the Gleaner Online. JDS helicopter makes emergency landing in Dunby, Holden. And of course, coming up next, we'll read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, what are your thoughts on transgender people competing in sports? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp your comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Does the communication in your marriage feel like a strain? Do you ever feel you and your spouse aren't on the same page emotionally? Well, we are providing you with a way to understand what's happening in your marriage, and you can only know by simply tuning in this Thursday, June 10 at 5:30 p.m. for the rebroadcast inside a truly marvelous program with host Colleen Beckles and guest Pastor Napoleon Black inside to have and to hold, as we take a look at when a couple feels disconnected. That's the truly marvelous program this Thursday, June 10, here on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Here is a reminder from Love 101, the family station. As we face this COVID-19 pandemic, be kind and support loved ones during this time. Check in regularly on others, especially those who are affected. Encourage them to keep doing what they enjoy. Share accurate COVID-related information with them to manage anxiety. I am Jonathan Fletcher from Love 101, reminding you to protect yourself while protecting others. Stay safe and keep it locked on Love 101, the family station.
I just want to sleep, but it's cold won't let me.
When cold symptoms rob you of your sleep, switch back to a good night with Painol. Painol, the cost-effective cough and cold reliever that helps you get a good night's sleep. Switch back with Painol, cough and cold from Lascom Pharmaceuticals.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. Let's join Shivani for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. What are your thoughts on transgender people competing in sports? Any comments, Shivani?
Well, no comments on that, but I'm seeing comments on the first watch. This one says, Edned Montego Bay says, flying vehicles and driverless vehicles, quite an interesting invention. I'm loving this. As long as they are safe, I welcome new things and great ideas. Less drivers, less vehicles would be a good thing. All right. Because there are several sleepy drivers. All right. Let me see what Cherry has to say. Cherry says it's a reality that people will wonder what if they had remained, how they were born, what would be the performance. Also bearing in mind the case of Semenya, all natural, and people were asking questions and criticizing. Let's see what happens when this starts. All right, ready, food for thought. I'll keep the convo going. I think there is one here. Tracy says, this discussion sounds like I'm watching a cartoon. I want to know, does these cars get, does it malfunction at any time? And what happens? How would they go with people's lives? I certainly will not take those cars or have my family sit in them. Here is a comment on the transgender topic. This one says, I think transgenders must stay in their lane. Keep the conversation going right here in Love 101.
Very interesting indeed. So we are now in the second watch, and when humans are born, the doctor usually says, well, always says, or usually says to the parent, this is a boy or this is a girl, or the nurse will say it. Now, when it comes to the matter of transgender, a lot to discuss there, and it raises the whole matter of gender identity, which comes post birth or after birth. Usually, when the person now, based on their own cognitive ability, makes a decision, they will say as to what gender they would like to be. Even if biologically they are one particular gender or one particular sex, they may say that in their mind, they feel as if they are of the opposite sex or the opposite gender. The word they tend to prefer is gender. Now, there was a recently published headline which reads as follows. It's a bad joke. Olympic rivals fury over transgender weightlifter. And this was published in Yahoo News recently. We have online this morning to discuss this very, shall I say, concerning. Some would say concerning, some would say delicate, some would say interesting. It depends a lot on the perspective of the listener or the person. We have online to discuss this Dr. Daniel Thomas, president of the Love March movement and a medical doctor, as well as Mr. Hubert Lawrence, who is no stranger to many persons. He is a well-known sports analyst. Good morning, Dr. Thomas, and good morning, Mr. Lawrence. How are you both today?
Good morning. Doing well.
Great. Mr. Both of you are on?
Well, we'll connect with Mr. James in a moment.
Okay, I see. Well, first of all, starting.
Lawrence.
When we say a transgender, what exactly or who exactly are we referring to? Your understanding of it, Dr. Daniel Thomas. You're a medical doctor and you work in the field, so maybe from a medical perspective you can give us your certainly. So when we say transgender, what exactly are we talking about, or who are we talking about?
Right. So the term transgender that really refers to persons who are biologically one gender but identify as another gender. So, for example, a trans male would be a female who identifies as male. It's more than just the dress code, which would be transvestite, but it's more about the actual gender identity that they take on, this social construct called gender identity that they take on is not the one that agrees with their chromosomal structure, essentially their biology. I'm actually now serving in the field of psychiatry, and the medical term really is gender dysphoria, because there's a mismatch in terms of what the person understands of themselves and the reality of their biological situation. So, yeah.
I see. Now, apart from them, for example, identifying as a particular gender, let us say, for example, someone born female who identifies in their mind as male. What does a person do? Do they is it that they will wear male attire, but their organs and their body parts are still female? So what exactly, if anything, do they do about
right?
That?
So some may decide to wear different clothes, but some may wear gender neutral clothes. You know.
You said gender neutral clothes?
Right. So there are a lot of weird trends coming out of the States and Europe. I don't know if persons have seen the kind of modeling that is happening on some of the runways, you know, the fashionistas and what is going on there. But there is the possibility of wearing the clothes for the opposite gender that they may be identifying as. But things do go a bit further than that. There are advocates now for puberty blocking drugs for children. So say a 3-year-old boy says that he's a little girl. Some parents have decided that he has made this huge life-changing decision. We should give him puberty blocking drugs in order to block the development of his male genitalia, etc. And so there's that. And then there's also the surgical option. Interestingly, the Jamaica Forum for Lesbians, Asexual and Gays, they have publicly come out and said that there should be public funding for this kind of thing, hormone blockers, as well as sex reassignment surgery, that should be publicly available, I suppose offered by my colleagues at KPH, etc. And so this is not just an international issue, but a very local issue. For we have our own set of transgender advocates here. So the sports question is a very big question as well. I know that's what we want to delve into here today.
Well, we're going to delve into it a little bit more after the break because we are already upon a break. And so stay with us on Morning Watch. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
This is Love 101, the family station. It's now 7:45. Please stay with us.
You know how Jamaican people do everything extra, right? So why should planning your retirement be any different? Introducing JNGI Silver Shield. 2-in-1 coverage for motor vehicle and home including contents. See? Extra! Imagine 25% JN member discount, emergency roadside assistance, accident forgiveness up to $1 million and more! JNGI Silver Shield. Exclusively for members of the Caribbean community of retired persons. Visit jngi.com. JNGI. We'll help you find a way. A member of the JN Group.
Morning, officer.
Morning, ma'am. Looking for a suspect in a current investigation and need to search your premises.
Then why you want to search my home, officer? Me and my family have a right to privacy, you know. And we have a right to protect our home from illegal search. Can I see the search warrant?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can come do your search, but me have to watch you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Everybody have rights. Brought to you by the National Family Planning Board and the Office of the Public Defender.
Yo, my G. You see my number? Well, duh. Nah, man, me just switch my number to Flow. And got 30 days of unlimited data to do everything plus a free LTE SIM. 30 days unlimited everything? Yeah, man. Plus, there's more. After 30 days, I can activate any plan to continue enjoying unlimited YouTube, social, calls, and text to any network. You need all of that too. Yeah, you need to switch to Flow and keep your number. Visit your nearest Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. This is we are looking at the whole matter of whether transgender people should participate in sports. And our guest for this segment, Dr. Daniel Thomas, who is the president of the Love March movement and also a medical doctor. And we hope to have online by now Mr. Hubert Lawrence, well-known sports analyst. Now, just before we get further into the discussion, I want to take a quick look at the recent report that came out in Yahoo News, or Yahoo Sports to be more precise. It's dated the 1st of June 2021, and it's written by Andrew Reed. And the topic is, or the headline of the article is, "It's a bad joke. Olympic rivals fury over transgender weightlifter." I'll read a little bit of it. I can't read all of it. A Belgian women's weightlifter has slammed the decision to allow New Zealand transgender athlete Laurel Hubbard to compete in the same event as her at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Hubbard, who competed in men's competitions before transitioning in 2013, is set to become the first transgender athlete to compete at the Olympics after weightlifting's governing body modified qualifying requirements for Tokyo. So I can't read all of it, of course, because of time, but I thought I'd read a little bit of it. Mr. Hubert Lawrence, are you with us now, sir?
Always been with you. Good morning.
Great having you. You sound a little bit far away, but we will see if we can still proceed and hear you as clearly as we can. Mr. Lawrence, do you have any comments on the topic for today? The matter of, whether transgender persons should participate in sports, not just the Olympics, but just generally. Transgender participation. Any comments, sir?
What has happened is that sport, written into its bylaws, has written specifically or embedded into its bylaws a provision for creating what they call a level playing field. And so far, the approach they've taken with transgender athletes is that certainly in track and field, for example, a few cases coming through in collegiate United States, is that people can make the move, people can make the change if they want to. The discomfort of others is that because the person makes a choice and changes gender, they carry with them muscle development, hormonal development that is not available to what we would call for this discussion, women who do not make that change, who grow up as women. And so that creates a playing field that's not level. So that is what sports so far, certainly in track and field, has responded to in this situation.
And interesting it's at a level playing field, because what one is seeing in relation to the other, males and females, let us say men and women, what some women are saying is that, and it's referenced to in the article in Yahoo Sports that is looked at, women are indicating that if a biological male takes part in the sport, that they are saying that the biological male who identifies as female has a natural advantage because their muscles, generally speaking, are more developed. And there have been instances, not necessarily in relation to this article, but there have been other instances where girls have been complaining because...
Let me offer one more thing.
What they're experiencing is that they are being denied of medal opportunities, etc., because someone who's a biological male is taking part in the same sport as them and beating them. And any comments on that? Because you just mentioned the fact that the bylaws of these various sporting bodies, etc., allow for a level playing field. But is it really level if someone is a biological male, for example, identifying as a woman or as a female?
What the reaction has been that because sport typically has competitions for men separately and then for women, if someone crosses over to the men's category and carries with them muscular, hormonal advantages, then that disturbs the level playing field. And that's what the ladies that I've read about have expressed.
Yes, yes. Dr. Daniel Thomas, any comments? Sure.
Yes, certainly. I mean, it's not just the muscle density. We're talking about bone density as well. We're talking about high levels of adrenaline, high levels of testosterone, and so these do present significant advantages for males over females. That's why every single sport has them separate. You would say, for example, in tennis, the person that would be number one in terms of the female category would fall under the 200th person equivalent in the male category in terms of the speed that they're able to hit the ball and several other factors that can be just measured to demonstrate the level of strength, the increased strength in the male category. So this is what we're seeing here. The impact of the LGBT agenda on sports is actually the destruction of female sports. That's what's happening here, because if a male can just up and say, wow, I was coming last, I was coming last as a male, maybe I should just be a female. I should just be a female, and then I can come first as a female. I can get a scholarship, I can get medals, I can get accolades. That does present a problem, and so many even lesbian activists have been standing out. So there was a recent article out of the UK where the lesbian community is actually suing the Stonewall organization because of their militant transgenderism, which militates against females. Females are the ones that end up suffering in this whole transgender discussion in every way, in sports, in homeless shelters, in the criminal justice system, where predators can just decide that they want to be female and be transferred to a female prison, which has happened in California. This kind of ideology, it's not based in sense, it's not based in reality. It's a hear-fear thing, and the impact will be felt for those countries that adopt this kind of practice. And if the Olympic proceeds in this direction, the Olympics, the female categories will be destroyed.
I understand that in the United States of America, there are a few states where they're attempting to as it were, limit or curtail or even ban the participation of biological males in female activities such as sports. But I want to quickly look a little bit here at the article in Yahoo Sports. Looking back at the article on the next paragraph, because you mentioned the matter of testosterone a moment ago. It says the athlete has been eligible to compete in the Olympics since 2015, when the IOC issued new guidelines allowing any transgender athlete to compete as a woman, provided their testosterone levels are below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months before their first competition. And the athlete was referred to as she, interestingly, even though the person is biologically male. But any comments on the fact that the testosterone levels are to be below 10 nanomoles per liter? And if you can comment on that, and if you can jump in, Mr. Lawrence or Mr. Dr. Thomas.
Well, I would just add that, there seems to be an attempt to create a level playing field, but it really is a gigantic social experiment. The realities are, for many, many years, the male would have gained the benefit of his bone density and muscle mass and the impact of testosterone on his general development. So it's an attempt at creating a level playing field, but I think it falls pretty short. And the fact that these men who become women, who it is accepted that they're suddenly women, they always are superior. We have skulls being cracked in wrestling, MMA fighting rather, where you have trans males entering as females, superiority in cycling that has happened, superiority in track and field. So it's not a surprise, right? Although there might be an attempt, that those attempts are really a drop in the bucket at curtailing this kind of social experiment.
Just for the benefit of Mr. Lawrence, you're coming in. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Thomas has outlined the discomfort of the women who don't have to change genders, because even though you try to create a level playing field with a limit to the testosterone level at 10, the athlete in that situation has a built-up facility from the muscle density, from the hormonal existence over all of it. This was a change genders at 15, 16, 17. They've grown up being stronger, faster, more dynamic, all of that time, and they carry that over when they become women. And so that is the discomfort that women who do not change genders have at this development.
Very interesting. I'm looking at, just for the benefit of the listeners and of, well, all of us, I'm seeing here in Al Jazeera in relation to one U.S. state, for example, Florida joins U.S. states banning transgender girls from sports. Florida joins U.S. states banning transgender girls from sports. This is in Al Jazeera, and this is was published 1st of June 2021, just a couple of days ago. And there's another reference here in Reuters where the question is being asked, why are U.S. states banning transgender women from sport? And that one is dated the 2nd of June 2021. So it's a very live and topical issue globally as we approach the Olympics and look at sports generally. Have we had these incidences sort of being raised here locally to your knowledge? Mr. Lawrence, can you say?
Not to my knowledge, but I think there's been some touching of it when it comes to people who are born with both male and female sex characteristics in the world of sports. So and so I suppose people are watching it very keenly as well. One solution for those people who are born with both male and female characteristics is to have a new category of competition, so that you do not shut the door to sport for these people who are born with both characteristics, but you create a category for them. And I reckon that most parents would shield their daughters when they find out that they have both sets of characteristics. And I think the numbers that we estimate for their existence are smaller for that reason. And so it might be a sensible thing to open up another category of competition, so the level playing field approach can be applied across all the categories and all can compete fairly. Whether this would apply to transgender would be another set of discussions that we would have to have down the line. But for those people born,
I'm getting a signal that we do have to wrap up, but I just want to leave this that persons born with both organs are not transgender, but that's another conversation that we can have at another time. I want to thank you, Mr. Lawrence, for being with us today. And I want to thank you, Dr. Daniel Thomas, for being with us as well. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. And visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and other, Love 101 programs, and listen to us by downloading our app, the Love 101 app, and stay connected to us, the family station, Love 101 FM. This has been the Morning Watch. Join us next Tuesday when Reverend Dr. Dylan Song will be back as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And thanks to our producer, Kathy Gill, and to our guests. I am Stokely Marshall, and you're back to This Morning with Siobhan Blair.
This is Love 101, the family station.